Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Rivals Podcast. We're back because NFL's back. It's a great time.
Let's go.
Uh,
Yep.
real just quick, I think I just want to talk about both of our teams real quick. What did you feel about the Eagles' performance in Week 1 versus the Patriots in Foxborough?
All right. So the Eagles' performance week one was not like we saw them in 2022, even though we won. I think that Jalen Hurts had a bad game. Clearly, you saw that he fumbled the ball and just wasn't really you know, passing for a lot of yards. We saw Gainwell actually have probably the best game out of any Eagle, maybe other than the defense. But on the offense perspective, Gainwell had a great game. I'm not too nervous for the Eagles. I think that they'll be good going into the rest of the season, but maybe just some week one nerves going in. But I don't know. Overall, is all right.
I mean, and I'll always take a win over a loss. I'm never gonna be like I might be like a little bit annoyed on if we're playing like a subpar team and we win barely, but I'm always gonna take a win over a loss. You know what I'm saying? So, and for the
Exactly.
Cowboys, 40-0. Like I don't have too many qualms. The only thing I
Yeah.
could say is that the offense didn't look like amazing. Like they were moving the ball, but it was mainly just the running game that was destroying the Giants. Passing wise, I
Yeah.
think Dak was like 14 for 24, so like he wasn't awful. He wasn't terrible. No touchdowns, no interceptions. It was people always like, oh, it was a rainy game or whatever, and I feel like I don't know if that's a good excuse or not. Like if it's a weather game, if that like really actually affects the odds too much. Like maybe like some receivers will drop balls, and there was a couple drop balls. But other than the offense looking a little bit sluggish sometimes, I mean I don't have any problem. Like we got
Yeah. I
a
mean,
special teams touchdown, defensive touchdown, offense touchdown, and by
yeah.
the
This was really a defense dominated game on your guys' part. Like I think your defense really showed up for this game, and
mhm.
you know,
And, props to them because like we were already up like 16-0 in the first quarter. So like by then, all they want to do they only ever really passed in like obvious pass situations. Other than that, they just ran the ball to drain clock, and the defense dominated. It was weird because the very first series, the defense was actually struggling a lot with stopping the run, and then once the block field goal happened, like it all just went terrible. I think like the biggest like net yards attempt they would have had. I think it was like to Isaiah Hodgins or something. He fumbled it, and the Cowboys like brought it back. So like the best like play they could have had that entire game ended up in a fumble. So 40-0. The only problem with us winning 40-0 in week one is like I don't know if you can do better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like game wise, like I don't know if you can have a better performance than that. Shutting out a
yeah.
team is hard in the NFL for 4 quarters, and so I don't know if really like you can do much better than that. But that's the only problem. But now we're gonna go game by game and give our thoughts about each game from the morning slate. Or I guess do you want to start with the kickoff
We'll
first,
start.
and
We'll
then
start. Yeah,
go?
we'll start with. We'll just do them in order of when they were played. So we'll start with Lions and Chiefs, and then
Okay,
work all the way to Bills and Jets.
I
But
see.
yeah,
You can go
so
first.
yeah, Lions and Chiefs game. I don't know if anyone really predicted that. We would see a Lions victory over the Chiefs especially by only by 1 point. It was a great game. I thought it was a good
That was a
like.
great game.
It was fun to watch. Great kickoff game, and I mean the Chiefs lost. So I think that's a W in most people's eyes anyway.
Yeah.
Um, Jared Goff had a great game. Amon-Ra had some great catches and good touchdown.
Hmm.
Or did he have two touchdowns?
Yeah, he had one touchdown. He
He
had
had
one
one. Okay, okay. So yeah, Mahomes clearly was his receiving game was rough without Kelsey. So I mean, for him, I hope he gets Kelsey back. But as a Chiefs hater, I hope that Kelsey takes a little longer to return. But it sounds like he's coming back week 2.
Yeah, I think Andy Reid did say that he's probably going to play in Jacksonville this week. Well, that should be a pretty good game too. But
Yeah, that should be a good game.
my big takeaway from this is the Lions' offense. They only actually scored 14 points. This final score was 21-20 because they had a defensive touchdown, which
Hmm.
was not Mahomes' fault. Like
No,
he threw the
no.
ball perfectly, and it somehow ended for a pick six. That's a Dak
Hmm.
type of thing. But yeah. The big takeaway is that the Chiefs receivers need to work on catching the ball. I guess I don't. They
Yeah.
looked lost out there. I don't know what it was. Chris Jones is coming back, so that's going to help them. but
That's
the
true. I mean,
defense.
Chris Jones was there. He was just up in the
Yeah,
stands,
it was like really
200 feet up.
weird, like really weird with like the two like mafia guys. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's very obvious that the team needs a good pass, a good catcher of the ball to really work. Like, because Mahomes didn't really play a bad game. He played about as well as he could for what he was given. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I did think when they were down one with like 3 minutes left, I was like, okay, here we go. Like Mahomes is gonna do his thing, and really he would have if they caught the ball. It would have been a classic Mahomes like, you know, 13 seconds, whatever type thing. But yeah, so on Google,
Yep.
the first game that comes up for me is Bengals versus Browns.
Bengals and Browns. Yep. So
And
let's talk about that one. And that was I didn't watch that full game, but I did catch basically all the red zone clips of it.
Mhm.
So I got a good idea what was going on there. And man, Joe Burrow, what happened? You know?
just injury. I don't think he might have not been 100%. But it's also the Browns kind of have the Bengals number. You know, Joe Burrow himself
Oh yeah.
is 1-6 versus the Browns. The only time
Mhm.
they beat them is when, like, I think it was like Deshaun's second or first game back was the only time they beat them. And it was in Cincinnati, and it was still like more of a closer game than maybe. To me, at least, it just seems like Stefanski kind of just knows how to coach around this team, and they're good at beating this team. Neither quarterbacks really looked that good. Deshaun had that one rushing touchdown, but he didn't look amazing outside of that. And
Yeah.
the Bengals
Yeah,
just
despite
couldn't get it going.
Yeah, despite the score, Deshaun Watson really it wasn't a bad game, but it was just nothing special.
Mhm.
Nick Chubb looked all right. He did his thing. Nothing too crazy with him.
Mhm.
Amari Cooper was not present, and
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I don't know. It was just kind of a bad game for both teams, but Browns obviously I way outscored the Bengals there, and
Mhm.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing what the Browns can do week 2 up against the or not the Chiefs, the fucking Steelers.
Yeah. So yeah, not a good way to start the season. But last year the Bengals started out 0-2,
hmm
and they still made it to the AFC Championship. The next
Yeah.
game is Texans versus Ravens. This was like an alright game. The Texans only scored. It was actually a really close game until like the third quarter. I don't know if you know that. It was
Yeah.
like 9-6 or something for a long time. The Texans defense was actually doing pretty well against the Ravens, and then finally the Ravens were able to open it up. Zay Flowers looked great in his debut.
Yeah, Zay Flowers. Yeah, wow. I mean, I was really impressed with Zay Flowers. Was not too impressed with Lamar, especially on a fantasy football perspective, because I did have him in a league. So, he clearly disappointed, but the run game looked pretty good. Even though J.K. Dobbins is now out for the season,
Yeah.
which is very unfortunate for him. Because it seems like he can never get a break in the NFL. But yeah. So I think overall this was a pretty good game for both teams, to be honest. Texans kind of gave it up in the end.
hmm
But that doesn't mean that I don't have faith in them this season. I think that they have a decent team. But of course, C.J. Stroud probably just had a lot of nerves going into his first NFL game ever. Having to lead a team that he doesn't really have experience with. But I think he'll get his feet on the ground moving forward. And like I say, I don't think that they have a horrible team. So I probably see them at 7-10 this season, maybe. I don't know, but yeah.
The same thing that really surprised me is that I'm looking at this now. They made C.J. Stroud pass 44 times in his debut, which is that's a lot of times.
Yeah, it's a lot.
44 times. The next game, this is my Pick'ems league, was my upset of the week. I predicted this game. It was the Buccaneers take down the Vikings in Minnesota, and I think this game is really going to sum up what I think the Vikings season ultimately is going to be. Kirk Cousins is going to have a lot of yards. He's going to have a couple touchdowns, and they're going to lose every single game. So
Yeah.
that's for the Vikings
I mean,
season.
Really an unfortunate loss here for the Vikings because they won AFC. What are they? AFC North?
They won the NFC North. NFC North.
NFC North. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won that last season. I don't really know how they did, to be honest. I feel like they had a kind of fluky season last year, but even with the loss of Dalvin Cook from their team, I think that their run game is still pretty decent. I don't see them winning their division again this year.
Lions got that, in my opinion.
I think Lions are probably gonna win as well. But yeah, this game was. I think that this is one of the best games this week, to be honest, especially
Yeah.
because we saw a Buccaneers upset here. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I also don't know how well the Buccaneers are going to do this season, especially because they don't have the easiest schedule. I mean, their schedule is actually pretty fucking easy, but they play.
They do have to
Excuse
play
my
all the
excuse my
top.
language.
They do have to play all the top NFC teams from each division. So they do have to play the Eagles. I'm pretty sure.
They
Gotta
play the
play
Eagles.
the Vikings,
They
which
play
they already did, and they got to play. No, that's it. Yeah, they got to play the Vikings and the Eagles. Those are the top
and
teams
no,
in
and
the
they
NFC.
play they play the Niners too.
Oh yeah,
At
they
some
got to play the
point.
Niners too. Yeah, so that coming in first place, if you're gonna be a bad team the next year, is not optimal because you got to play all the first place teams again the next year. But I
Yeah.
mean, they're able to do it against the Vikings, albeit the Vikings weren't that good of a team last year. They just had a good record. Also, Justin Jefferson went ballistic this game. He had like 130 yards in the first half, and then he never got targeted again in the second half, which is like
Yeah.
crazy. So I don't think the Vikings are gonna have a good season. Really, I think they're actually gonna have a pretty bad record. I think I protect them
Yeah.
for like 5 wins or something like that. I think they're gonna
Really.
Yeah, I think they're gonna put up really good stats, but I think they're gonna lose because I don't think that team cannot stop the run. We saw it against the Buccaneers. They're not good at they're not good at stopping the run, in my opinion. And when your team can't stop the run, I just don't believe in the Vikings defense. I really think they have the chance to be the worst defense in the NFL this year. I don't think. It's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be
no,
good.
their defense is trash, like absolute trash.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah. So next we got the Panthers and the Falcons. So bit of a battle here of, you got of course the Panthers having Bryce Young as their QB, and they got a lot of new pickups. They got Adam Thielen and
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders. Yeah.
and the
So
Eagles.
they ended up losing this game. That was kind of a shock for me. I kind of expected
Really.
for them to win a bit, yeah. But especially, I mean, we saw, Bijan had a good game. His 1st game was pretty good. And I really was not impressed with Desmond Ritter. I think that he had a bad game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know how good he's going to be going into the season, but, I mean, we'll see week 2, I guess. I don't even know who they're up against, to be honest. But
Yeah, I was able to
Let
catch
me
this game actually, and even though Desmond Ritter was 15 for 18, so pretty good completion percentage, he just didn't look comfortable out there throwing the ball. They didn't really want him to throw the ball. He did get a touchdown. He didn't have any interceptions. So I think he can be. I think his like peak, Desmond Ritter can be like an Alex Smith level guy, like just a game manager type of quarterback. Someone that like won't actively like maybe ruin your chances of winning, but he won't like help you a lot when it comes to winning. I don't think Desmond Ritter is the type of guy that can like take over a game. You know what I'm saying? And just go
yeah.
crazy. Bryce Young, I think there are a lot of Panther fans for some reason like thought Bryce Young was gonna be like just great out of the gate. He really struggled. He threw 2 interceptions, 2 like pretty bad interceptions if you saw it.
Yeah.
I don't really think that Bryce Young's gonna become a superstar per se, but I don't think that's how bad he's gonna be. But he did have a pretty rough debut. But every single rookie kind of had a tough debut, besides like Anthony Richardson. He had a decent one. But I don't think there's a lot of takeaways from this game, except the Panthers, I think, are going to have a pretty slow start to the season.
Yeah. And I really can't predict right now how either of these teams are going to do into the season. I feel like I want to see, how they do week 2, week 3, and see maybe how they're looking. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers lost the first 3 games of the season, to be honest.
Yeah.
They play, I think, it says they play the Saints, who I think are one of the, at least in my opinion, one of the most unexpectedly strong teams this season so
they're
far.
going to win the division, I think, because the division's pretty bad.
And then they play the Seahawks, which, I mean, we'll talk about the Seahawks and my opinions on them later, but I think that they are going to bounce back from week 1 and, have a decent season with Geno. But anyway, on to the next game, which was Cardinals and Commanders. So that was a interesting game because Cardinals had the lead most of it, if I'm not mistaken, and then Commanders kind of took the win right at the end. But yeah, it's, battle of new coaching staffs here.
More like a battle of mid.
It was a battle of mid.
I'm actually a little bit impressed by the Cardinals because I thought the Commanders could like maybe have a winning record this year. It depends on how well Sam Howell turns out, But in Sam Howell's real first NFL game, he kind of, to me at least, it was a bit underwhelming. He threw an interception. He had a fumble that they actually scored a touchdown off of, which gave them the lead for the majority of the game. And neither team could really move the ball that much. It was a pretty low scoring game. The Cardinals, because they are probably going to be the worst team in the NFL, did end up losing it. Josh Dobbs. I mean, I think that was the most clear, like, oh, we're tanking ever. They cut they cut Colt McCoy, and they brought in Joshua Dobbs. So I feel like they're pretty much trying to tank. It was a close loss, so like the GM's probably like, oh man, we lost, but like behind he's probably like rubbing his hands together, happy that they lost, so they can get the first overall pick.
Yeah, you think the Cardinals are going to be the worst team in the NFL this season?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really high on the Cardinals.
Like to be like,
Like,
not
not
the worst
like-
team.
To be like not the worst team.
Who do
Like
you-
not one. I think this season I could see. I don't know. Maybe.
The Raiders, like.
No, not the Raiders. No, the Raiders are going to have a great season.
Bro.
Are you kidding me? Maybe the Giants. Maybe the Bears. I don't know.
Bears are a good contender for one because we'll get to the Bears actually in a second. I don't think there's a lot
Yeah.
to talk about when it comes to the Commanders Cardinals game, so we might as well move on to a way more interesting game,
Yeah.
which is Jaguars versus Colts, which I thought was actually
Yes.
a very interesting game.
This is one of the best Week 1 games as well. You had Anthony Richardson have a great debut in the NFL. I mean, I don't think that this loss is necessarily on him.
No,
I don't think so.
The defense kind of fell apart for the Colts.
Yeah, defense fell apart at the end. Trevor Lawrence had a good game. Calvin Ridley had an amazing game, and I think that the Jacksonville's defense also impressed me a decent bit.
Yeah, I think their defense has stepped up from last year. They let up a lot of points last year. I mean, to be fair, they let up 21 points to a rookie. But, I mean, Anthony Richardson had one play where it was like the interception was pretty bad. But other than that, he looked good. He can run the ball. He had a rush touchdown. He had 10 carries for 40 yards. Only problem is he's kind of like Josh Allen where, like, he really, like, tries to run the ball. He doesn't slide. He takes hits. And they end up taking him out of the game at the very end and put Gardner Minshew in. Kind of worries me. But I think both teams, I think especially the Colts pretty impressed me. I didn't think Anthony Richardson was going to have a really great debut, if I'm being honest. And I really thought this Colts team was going to be pretty bad. But they looked pretty good against supposedly one of the better teams in the NFL this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am probably a bit higher on Jacksonville than I should be. But I think that, again, I think they're going to have a decent season this year. I think Trevor Lawrence is a great QB, obviously. And now that they got Calvin Ridley back and, freaking
Christian Kirk.
what's their running back?
Travis Etienne. I haven't
Etienne, yeah, Etienne.
He had a pretty good game, so thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, he had a good game. I don't know why I couldn't think of Etienne because I'm
kind of sold me, but
Yeah, Evan Ingram is very hit or miss when it comes to like his game. So he'll either put up 2 touchdowns in a game or get absolutely no passes. But
yeah.
Anyway,
speaking of no passes, the Steelers couldn't
Yeah,
pass
moving
against
on.
the 49ers. They lost 30-0 in a game. A lot of people I heard picked like the Steelers as an upset pick, which
for this 49ers Steelers game, really.
I heard a lot of people say the Steelers are going to upset. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but I also didn't think the Steelers were going to get the win here. But I mean, they just looked flat.
Yeah.
They didn't look ready. They were the preseason champions, and I mean, this is usually what happens to preseason champions because they usually don't do good in the regular season. I mean,
So I live with a bunch of Steelers fans now that I live in Pittsburgh, and it was kind of hard to watch this game. I mean, I'm not particularly like a Steelers fan. I don't root against them, but I felt bad for felt bad for all my roommates because it was clearly a tough game for them to watch. I'm optimistic, and I hope that the Steelers can bounce back from week 1. I think that they'll. I don't think that they're gonna be 30-7 bad the rest of the season. Like that was just really an unexpected score, and Steelers were just not awake for this game apparently.
Did you see the stat where it's like yards and it's like 199 for the what's it? 49ers,
Yeah,
and it's
199 for the
one for the Steelers,
1 yard for the Steelers.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Kenny Pickett really did not have a good game,
Kenny Pickett is not representing Pitt right now.
They also suffered a lot of injuries that first game, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, there was couple injuries. I remember that. I remember. I don't think it was like the quarterback, running back, but they did. There was a couple injuries on the defense. I'm pretty sure Cameron.
Yeah,
Hayward,
on the
I think,
defense, and
got
Cameron Hayward, and I think Deontay Johnson got injured as well.
something like that. Oh yeah, Deontay Johnson. I don't think he's gonna play this weekend. I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah, well, another week without Deontay Johnson getting a touchdown, so I don't know.
still the streak continues. Also, I mean Brock Purdy. You know, people say he's this, he's that. He did pretty good. I don't know if I still want to hype up Brock Purdy as like a top 10 quarterback in the league or something like that, but he definitely with this 49ers team does look really good. Christian McCaffrey had a good game. Brandon Ayuk finally looked like the wide receiver one that everyone's hyping him up to be over Debo Samuel, and I think he can take the wide receiver one job over Debo Samuel.
No doubt, absolutely no doubt. Brandon Ayuk was probably the player of the week here, in my opinion.
I think he
mean,
was the offensive player of the week.
at least when it comes to like proving himself as a wide receiver one, I think Brandon Ayuk can easily take that position for this team. Is he listed as wide receiver 2?
I think he's still listed as a true wide receiver 2 right now, but he definitely didn't play like that, and I think they really want him to be the wide receiver 2 because they were giving him a lot of pass opportunities during the game. He had 2 touchdowns. And
Debo Samuel is listed as wide receiver 1 still. So
by the end of this season, I think Brandon Ayuk will be wide receiver 1. And also, I mean, it was kind of unfortunate for me because I was going up against a guy in fantasy who had Justin Jefferson and Ayuk on their team.
Oh my god!
I lost pretty big that week. This 49ers team looks really good. They a pretty dangerous team, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Titans and Saints game. This is a game that I really don't care about the Titans like at all. I think that they're one of the most irrelevant teams.
Yeah, super relevant.
It was interesting to see D Hop as his first game as a Titan.
And
and Derek Carr's first game as a Saint. I'm very high on Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I think it was great to see, and I was like happy for him that he actually had a good week 1 and that he is like clearly fitting into the Saints team, especially after
stuff with the Raiders. I'm happy that he's on a good team finally. And,
exactly. Yeah.
Like you said, it was kind of weird seeing some of these players in different unis. But this game was actually like really boring. This game was actually like super. It was a field goal fest until like the last minute where they finally got a touchdown. Also, Ryan Tannehill looked terrible in this game. The fact that neither Malik Willis nor the rookie, I forgot his name, the rookie they drafted this year, can start over Ryan Tannehill must speak volumes to how bad they are because he went 16 for 34, 198 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. I mean, Titans could have won this game if it wasn't for him.
Titans absolutely could have won this game. I'm glad the Saints won. And also just on the Saints in general. Like looking at their schedule, I have it up right now. They have an easy schedule. I can see them going undefeated through the first 6 weeks of the season. Obviously, they won week 1. They're gonna win against the Panthers on Monday Night Football.
Easy.
I think I can see them winning against the Packers. I can see them winning against the Bucks. I think the Patriots game might be a close one, but I also kind of see the Saints pulling out the win there. And I also see them beating the Texans. I mean, I think that the first obstacle they have in their schedule is the Jags. I don't see them winning that game, but it's possible. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how good they are going into that game, but I can see that. I honestly could see the Saints going undefeated through 6 weeks.
Yeah. And I don't think they're like a 13-4 or 12-5 like caliber team, but I could actually see them finishing with that record just because how easy the schedule is. Kind of like the Vikings last year. They do have a really easy schedule. And I do think because their division is so bad, where they have the Panthers, Falcons, and Buccaneers, I think they easily make the playoffs. It just depends on like where they get seeded. If they end up being better than like the Lions or something like that, but I don't think so. But yeah,
I do predict Saints winning their division this year
as like the 4th seed though, for me at least.
As the 4th seed, but yeah, I still think that they win the division.
This next game, man, hurt me. Raiders beat the Broncos 17-16. Their kicker missed the kick. It would have gone to overtime. As a Broncos supporter, a Russell Wilson supporter, I have Russell Wilson's Bronco jersey. Here, I'll actually hold up. I'll get it right now. Real quick, hold up. Here it is. I do have it.
Broncos country.
I really thought the Broncos were going to ride in Sean Payton's first game as the Broncos coach, but that didn't happen. I'm still going to support Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson didn't have a bad game. He actually had a pretty good game.
No, yeah,
27
Russell
for
Wilson looked
34,
good.
2 touchdowns. A big problem was I don't think they had Jerry Jeudy this game, so he was passing it to like
No.
randoms or whatever. But Jimmy Garoppolo also looked like the same exact guy he was in San Francisco, a guy that will help you win games. He's probably not going to take over a game, but he won't lose you games most of the time either.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo was very dominant in this game. That's my opinion.
Yeah, he had
I think
20
that
for
he
26, 200 yards.
I think he had a great game. You know, it's clear that I think that the Raiders have one of the most underrated teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
they
my-
had Devontae. They got
They have
Josh Jacobs.
Devontae Adams obviously is not an underrated player in any sense, but you know, Josh Jacobs is kind of slept on, to be honest.
Jacoby Myers. had a good game.
You know, they got Max Crosby at defensive end. I think he's one of the best in his trade, and Jimmy Garoppolo looks great. I think he's doing good as a Raider so far. And now they have such depth when it comes to wide receivers. You know, they got Renfro. He's gonna hop in for a few games and make a few good catches, but nothing crazy. And now they got Jacoby Myers, from the Patriots, and even like DeAndre Carter from, I think they got him from the Chargers, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So they made a bunch of great wide receiver pickups because Devontae Adams is going to have a few, you know, probably like 5 or 6 breakout games during the season where he gets most of the targets and most of the catches. But then, like we saw last season, like from the week 1 to week 2 drop off from Devontae, like he had like 17 targets in week 1 and then like 3 targets in week 2. Or I don't know if that's the exact numbers, but you know, we're gonna see that he has these games where he just doesn't get targeted at all, and that's when, you know, players like all their other wide receivers are gonna get a lot of targets. Who are they starting at tight end? I know because now they obviously don't have Darren Waller, and I'm pretty sure that they don't have their other tight end too.
No, it was just some random dude. I'm looking right now. Hold up.
Austin Hooper.
Austin
Is it
Hooper's
Austin
a
Hooper?
Raider? Is Austin Hooper actually a Raider? No, I'm looking at it right now. It's a Hooper. I assume that's Austin Hooper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know they drafted a tight end in the first round. The guy from Notre Dame, Michael Meyer, but I don't think he started for this game, so I don't know what's going on with him. I think the Raiders are probably gonna be a mid team if I'm being honest. Like I don't see them making the playoffs necessarily.
I think just because the AFC is so competitive. I mean, they're winning their division right now.
But yeah, every other team lost.
They're
their
in first
division.
place.
So
But yeah, I can't, truthfully, even as someone who roots for the Raiders, I really cannot I cannot put the Raiders above the Chiefs or even the Chargers. Like I just don't see that. I just see them getting third place in their division. And when there's other competitions in the AFC, like you got the Dolphins, the Jets, maybe not the Jets, but
we'll
the
talk about
Dolphins,
that
the Dolphins, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, even the Steelers. Like I don't see the Raiders making the playoffs over all these other guys unless they somehow can beat out the Chargers or the Chiefs. I don't know. I don't know if that's possible.
I'm going to stay on the Broncos hype train. I said to a lot of people they're going to be a good team this year, the Broncos. I
think the Broncos lose their division. I'm not
going to win it, but I don't think they're going to get fourth. I think I projected the Broncos to get like 9 or 10 wins this year. If I'm being honest.
I think that's a bit too high on them. I see them as like a 6 or 7 win team.
I just want Russell Wilson to have a good team. I like Russell Wilson. Anyway, next game. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Eagles versus Patriots. We kind of already talked about this one. If you have anything,
already talked about it pretty much.
Mac Jones had a good game. I didn't say that. He had a pretty good game.
Good game. That's about it. I mean, I think it was actually, it wasn't a good game. It was an okay game.
For 300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Okay, yeah. But Jalen Hurts, I still even though he's always gonna have a decent receiving.
No, Max Jones, I said.
He had
Mac Jones. He had 300 yards.
I was gonna say, yeah, 300 yards from
had
Jalen Hurts.
170. I don't know why they don't put fumbles on the stat sheet next. But he did have one.
I was gonna say 300 yards, Jalen Hurts week 1. I didn't think so.
No, Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. He's a good quarterback. I don't think he's top half quarterbacks in the NFL, but I think he's a lot better than at least a lot of people expected him to be. 300 yards in week 1, even though he lost. I also still see the Patriots losing their division this season. Just gonna
Mm,
be honest.
it's a bit tough
Um,
because of the Jets. Now I'm kind of
okay, yeah,
wondering, will the
okay,
Jets
the
or
Jets
Patriots be worse?
situation.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's up to Zach Wilson to be honest to decide that one. But
Zeke looked terrible in his Patriots
you
debut.
know,
7 carries, 29 yards, one fumble. So
Zeke looked bad.
I'm kind of
Jalen
glad he's
Hurts
off the
looked bad.
team. I'm gonna be honest. Like it's kind of it
You know,
kind of
you guys,
hurts.
I think you guys have to rock with Pollard at this point. I think
Oh
he's
yeah.
absolutely your guy.
No,
He had a great week 1.
he's been the
We'll
better
get to
back
we'll
for
get to
three
that game.
years in my opinion. But it's just like I really did think like when Zeke and Dak went off the rookie season, I really thought they were gonna win a Super Bowl together, and that obviously seeing that not happen is kind of rough. But next game,
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
biggest
Rams and
upset
Seahawks.
probably of the week, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt. Definitely the biggest upset. I don't know if I'm high on the Rams after this, especially Cooper Cup's still out. But I mean, they have 2 other great receivers. Like don't even
Puka
Tutu
Nacua
Atwell
came out of
and Puka
nowhere.
Nacua.
Who I
Yeah.
picked
No,
up
they.
in fantasy this week.
I feel like both of them came out of nowhere. Like I mean, Cam Akers continued to suck. I think he's a bad back. I don't think he's good.
I mean, no other team wanted him. They had to keep him in L.A.
But Matthew Stafford, good week 1, I think. He had 334 yards, 63% completion, and I think overall, I think if we were to revisit this match later on in the season, I think the Seahawks are going to get their feet on the ground. I think Geno's going to have a good season. I like that the Seahawks are comfortable enough to now say like, yeah, we're going to rock with Geno. He's our guy. I think now that they've kind of locked him in, I think he's going to have a good season. He obviously has pretty much the same exact, if not better, receiving team as he did last year. He's got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and the rookie Jackson Smith, Najigba, or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, that's it.
I think they got great running backs, Kenneth Walker and who's the other guy?
Charbonnet or whatever.
Charbonnet, yeah, Charbonnet. So yeah, I think they have a great team. I think they have the chance of winning their division. I think they probably. I don't think they'll win the division. Actually, they'll probably get second.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah. I mean, this is definitely an upset. I don't expect this to be the case if this game were to be played later in the season, which it will on, week 11 or week 12. I don't know what week, but anyway.
I think this is gonna be like a game like you look back at in the season and be like, how did they lose this game? Like the 49ers losing to the Bears in week 1 like last year and stuff like that. It's going to be like, they really lost that game in week 1. Next game is probably the best game of the week. Dolphins versus Chargers.
Oh yeah.
The Chargers
definitely. I mean, it's
make the playoffs.
It's the it's the highest scoring game of the year or of the week, excuse me. I mean, it is the highest scoring game of the year so far.
I mean, yeah, technically.
But anyway, I really kind of didn't expect the Dolphins to win this one in the end. I'm gonna be honest. Like I really thought the Chargers were gonna win, even though that they were trailing the whole game by 3 points or so. I think I am high on the Chargers. I again think that they have just such a good lineup. The problem is you got Austin Eckler, who is doubtful for week 2. He has an ankle injury and he's been missing practices
Who they play in week 2?
As a back.
No, like who they play like team.
What team do they play? They play. Let me look.
So I don't know if they start 0-2 or 1.
Playing Titans. They're playing Titans.
They probably win.
They'll win this week. Yeah. They got Keenan Allen, who's even though it's his 11th season in the NFL, he's still looking great. I think he had a good decent week 1. Mike Williams is so slept on, even on his team. Mike Williams should be the wide receiver 1 in my opinion on that team, but I think he will probably move into that role. But anyway, they got Austin Eckler. They took him out early, put in Joshua Kelly, who I picked up in my main fantasy league, and I think is going to be a force in these next 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how long Eckler's out. But yeah, Joshua Kelly, even when he came into the game, he came in and scored a touchdown and got a ton of yards. So I think even their second, third string players are great, and you got Justin Herbert, who's easily a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Wouldn't say he's top 5, but yeah, I think I see them as a playoff team this year. Again, AFC is very competitive, so
very competitive.
I can see But I do see them finishing even like record-wise, I see them finishing ahead of Ravens, Steelers, Titans.
What about Dolphins?
Maybe Dolphins. I don't know about Bills. Like Bills are really a question mark in my mind right now as to how they're gonna do this season. I hope that they win, but we'll see.
The thing is, before the season started, I was actually really low on the Dolphins. I thought they were actually might have a losing record this year, just because Tua. We all know he can get he gets pretty banged up. And I thought their defense also was like really questionable because Jalen Ramsey's playing. I'm still not. People are gonna say I'm a hater. I'm still not sold on Tua yet. He had 400 yards, but like, did he really have 400 yards, or did he just like throw it to Tyreek Hill and that gave him an extra 30 yards? I'm not sure. He looked good this week. He 446 yards, three touchdowns, 1 reception. I just don't know.
I can't believe you're not sold on Tua. I can't believe you're not sold on him.
Well, part of the game is being available, and I don't know if he's gonna finish the season with like 6 games and be really good in those 6 games, but get injured and miss the rest of the season. But he did look good this week. But like when they played the Chargers last year, he went like 10 for or 6 for 14 or something, like 200. He's just too much up and down in my opinion. If the only problem with the Dolphins' offense is great, their defense is very, very bad. I mean, it was terrible, and I don't know how they're going to fare against the Patriots, who have a much better defense than the Chargers do. So
yeah,
we'll see. But if their offense can keep on at the scoreboard, they should be fine. Here we go. Packers versus Bears. Like the Bears still suck. I don't like the Bears are always gonna suck. Justin Fields isn't that guy in my opinion, but
I think Justin Fields just should sign up to become a running back at this point. Like I don't know. Like he's not a bad quarterback, but
dude,
I just don't. I'm talking about not being sold on somebody. I'm not sold on him for them, but.
They traded the first overall pick for DJ Moore, and he received the ball 2 times. 2 times. I mean, the play calling was terrible, and the Packers, they couldn't stop the Packers from running the ball. The Bears defense is still terrible. The team is terrible. Like I don't know why people thought that the Bears would win this game. I picked the Packers to win this game because on paper and as we see on the TV, they're a much better team than the Bears. The Bears have a mid to bad quarterback. They have one good receiver who isn't even really like a top 10 wide receiver. They traded the first overall pick for a receiver that isn't even a top 10 wide receiver. And Chase Claypool still sucks. I don't know how anyone on the team. Darnell Mooney was their best receiver of the game. So
yeah, definitely.
I think this Bears team could actually be the worst team.
I think they could be the worst team as well.
Pretty close. But the real story is the Packers and how good they did.
Jordan Love. I mean, you see he had week 1 he had 245
yards.
Yeah, 245 passing yards. He had 3 touchdowns in his first ever NFL appearance. The only problem I have with the Packers right now is they do have a lot of injuries. You have Aaron Jones with an injury, Christian Watson with an injury.
But they did this game without Christian Watson. He didn't even play this game, which is crazy.
Yeah. He didn't even play. But I mean, they have Romeo Doubs who. We saw he had a decent rookie season. And I think that he'll continue to be pretty good for this team. So he might have to take a bit of a wide receiver 1 role this season. I don't think Christian Washington's I don't think the injury's that serious that he's gonna be out missing a lot of the season, but still we might see him out for a few games. Because he did practice on Friday as a limited participant, as they said, but he's still listed as questionable, so we'll see. Aaron Jones, I think his injury's a bit more serious.
Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, I think it's a hamstring injury or something like that. I think he's expected to miss Sunday's game. But we'll see. I really don't know. I think the Packers are not going to win their division. Obviously,
not gonna make the playoffs, but...
I don't think they make the playoffs either. I don't know if
better than the Bears, so they stay.
Yeah, they're definitely better than the Bears. Yeah. So anyway,
they're a mid team. The next game is we're on to
your favorite game. Onto your favorite game of the week. Yeah. We got Cowboys and Giants.
For everyone else, this is probably one of the worst games of the week. Because it's just.
I was honestly I'm not a Cowboys fan, but it's week 1. It's not gonna I don't care that much yet about hating on you guys, especially because we haven't played you yet. But I just was just, you know, I'm rooting just as against you guys just as much as I'm rooting against the Giants because we're all fighting for
Yeah,
NFC East spot.
it's tough the like division games who you root for or if you just you because like if, the only time I ever rooted for the Commanders last year is when they beat the Eagles because that would have helped us win the division, But I get you saying it's just I honestly prefer I something funny I prefer these games over like 10-10 games or like 7-7 games because at least one team is actually putting up points. And the Cowboys here showed their defense. Now people are gonna say, oh well, it's against the Giants or whatever. The Giants are an NFL team, and we scored 40 points and shut out a professional NFL team. And people are hyping up the Giants. I don't know if you know this. A lot of NFL analysts and stuff were picking the Giants to win.
I was hyping up the Giants too. I'm not a Giants fan by any means, but I was hyping up the Giants. I thought that they were going to have a great team. I mean, you obviously saw last year Saquon had a great season. They basically were kind of relying on Saquon through at least in the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones is not a great quarterback.
Yeah, he's not 160 million worthy or whatever he got. But.
Yeah, he'll have a few good games, but he's not amazing. But then they picked up Darren Waller, and let me just tell you, like, I am so high on Darren Waller. I think he's the most underrated tight end in the entire NFL. He didn't have a great week. He didn't have a great week one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I don't know. I'm worried about. I mean, I'm not worried about the Giants. If they do the worse they do, the better for me. But I do think that they are not gonna have as good of a season as everyone thought. I think I definitely was scared of the Giants.
You were
going into the season. Yeah, going into the season, absolutely. I thought that they could easily win this division, but after their week one performance, I don't think so.
You actually they thought they could win the division. Here's my thing. They said, okay, yeah, they got Darren Waller. Their defense was still kind of bad. My opinion when the Darren Waller trade happened was like, okay, that's cool. But Daniel Jones is still throwing the ball to Darren Waller. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's still Daniel Jones
throwing the ball to Darren Waller. So I was like, okay, like he might get us once with a good like touchdown to Darren Waller, but not throughout the entire game. I don't think it really would matter as much because Daniel Jones is still throwing the football. And I actually want the Giants to keep paying Daniel Jones and keep paying him more money so he can stay there longer because if he's there, I know we're gonna beat them, especially for us because. Dak Prescott hasn't lost the Giants since his rookie year. The Giants haven't beaten the Cowboys with Dak Prescott since his rookie year. The only time they had beaten the Cowboys was in 2020 when like Andy Dalton was starting or something like that. I always see the Giants as a free win, at least until they can prove me otherwise. You know what I'm saying? And this just goes to show. It was kind of like a game where like everything went right for one team and everything went wrong for the other team. I don't think this is definitely gonna be the Giants' worst game. I think they're gonna like bounce back, but not like bounce back to like a playoff team. They play the Cardinals next week, and we'll see what the Giants really are in that game. See how well they can do against one of the worst teams in the NFL. But now we got the last game of the week, Bills versus Jets, and this was a tough game.
Yeah, all right. So for me, being a Bills fan, I got my Josh Allen jersey right over there. I'm not going to bring it over because, they just it was a tough game to watch if you're a Bills fan. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a lot of not excitement, honestly. I wasn't even excited. I felt awful for Aaron Rodgers in the beginning of that game because, you have all this hype surrounding the Jets this year. They clearly have had a great team going into the preseason. You got Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Rodgers, who else? Garrett Wilson. Alan Lazard, like you got all these players. You got the freaking Green Bay Jets going on here, and then Aaron Rodgers goes out in the first 6 minutes of the game, or however much it was.
75 seconds. That's how long.
It was 75 seconds. That's it.
Yeah, well, because like with on like the game clock or whatever, he played 75 minutes of like real football. On that drive, it was four plays in, and then he tore his Achilles, and now it's gonna be a big question if he returns or not. I think he's gonna.
No. What, for the season?
No, for like next season if he returns.
Oh no, for next season.
I think he will. I don't think he wants to go out like this. But I don't know if he'll be like the same Aaron Rodgers if he comes once he comes back from this.
Yeah, I don't think it's in Aaron Rodgers to just quit and just say, yeah, I'm done playing NFL after he gets traded to this team, gets paid all this money. Well, now I guess he's. I mean, is he getting paid? I don't know. I don't even
He's
know.
still gonna get paid because there was a
Yeah,
there was a
but
guaranteed amount, but
but the Packers do lose their first round pick for 2024 draft. I don't even know.
Something like that.
2024.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously this sucked for many people. I felt bad for Aaron Rodgers, but
I think it just
I
sucks
was
for
like,
the
all
NFL,
right,
like, in
fine,
general.
fine. Yeah, so I was like, all right, fine. Zach Wilson's gonna go in. Bills will get the win, like easy. They got, Bills are pretty much at full strength,
and that didn't happen.
and that did not happen. Yeah, no. That was it was a disappointing end for Josh Allen, and he clearly did not have a good game. Josh, and he's got to pull it together.
Josh
here
has
because,
these games, I feel like, at least once every season where he's a very, like, what's it called, aggressive quarterback, and then there's just some games where it just doesn't work out and he throws like 3 picks, fumbles
yeah,
once.
and like I even did get like a lot of like closure because I do follow the Bills a decent bit. I think James Cook is their option. I think he had a great first game. I think like not a great first game, but like he was not like he was running for 10 yards for a lot of the times he got the ball. Like he I don't know what his average was for week 1. It was apparently it was 3.8 yards. I don't believe that, but
He only
wow,
had
actually
46
maybe
yards.
maybe he wasn't as good as I thought.
I don't think they gave him the ball a lot, but when he did, I thought he looked decent.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought I did too. I guess I remember
Ooh.
that different, but
hold up, we have an injury report real quick. Eckler has been ruled out of week 2. It says.
yes.
Are you going up
that
against
is
him in
so good.
fantasy or what?
I'm not going up against him, but I picked up Josh Kelly, so now I can start Josh Kelly in
Oh,
fantasy.
okay.
Let's go.
Well, yeah. Back to the game.
He's ruled out.
Yeah, he's ruled out.
Wait, where do you see that?
Sleeper. Do you know that's a
Yeah, I have
fantasy,
sleeper. I have sleeper.
It was on sleeper to that. But,
And I actually am going up against him. Yeah, in the league we're both in. I'm going up against him.
Yeah, just this was a game that I feel like it felt kind of like what's it called, the Cowboys versus Giants game where Dak got injured. A bad quarterback comes in and they're actually able to win the game. It was a crazy ending too. The punt return for what's it called, for the win was pretty crazy. I still think the Jets at that point were probably going to win the game. I do think they could have moved the ball down to like the 30-yard line and gotten the kick. But I don't think the Jets are going to be able to do this every week because the only reason why they won is because the Bills had 4 turnovers. So that's where I'm saying. I think the Bills are going to bounce back against the Raiders next week. People like saying, oh, Josh Allen turns the ball over too much. He has 80, 85, whatever, since his rookie year. Josh Allen has games, but he also has games where he has like 4 touchdowns, 400 yards. I'm not like lower on Josh Allen.
He's Josh Allen.
Every single quarterback besides like Mahomes had a terrible week. Like
Yeah.
Burrow,
Yeah, no, really.
Lamar didn't really have a good week.
Lamar had a bad week. Hurts had a bad week.
There was a graphic where it was like the 3 like highest paid quarterbacks combined for 1 touchdown in week 1. So
yeah,
that just happens sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, finally onto because that was all the games we talked about this season, or for this week 1, excuse me. So we do have our top 5 teams. We'll go, we'll each give our 5, each give our 4, stuff like that, just so we bring it down to suspense here. So who do you have at number 5 on your power rankings going into week 2?
Okay, at number 5, I know they lost, but I'm still gonna put. I'm gonna put the Chiefs at number 5. I have the Chiefs at number 5.
Okay, that's fair. I think it's a bit undervalued just because they are the Chiefs and they're gonna have Travis Kelce back. It's not like he's out for multiple weeks. Like he'll probably be playing week 2. But I think that's fair for now. Number 5 for me, I have Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
I'm probably a bit higher on them than I should be, but I see them winning their division again this year. Probably easier than last year because last year, they were in a pretty
they
close
won the division with
battle with the
9-8
Titans.
record. It came down to the final week. It came down to the final game. Who would win the division.
I see them being a lot more dominant this year. I see them winning their division
pretty handily.
So and especially because we can't even think. Playoffs aren't even in our thought process right now. So I can't even think about who's in the playoffs right now. I'm just thinking about who might win their division, just based off of week 1. Jaguars are my number 5.
Okay. Well, my number 4 is actually the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have
Okay.
I just couldn't justify putting the Chiefs higher because they lost their Week 1 game, and this is kind of going off of Week 1, but they're still Chiefs. But yeah, I think Jacksonville's gonna be a good team this year. I put them at number 4.
I think we probably have the same exact top 5. Not the same exact because we don't have them in the same list, but I do in my number 4. I got the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, we see that this team is crippled without Kelsey.
Yeah.
You know, they can't figure it out. They don't have good receivers. They don't have a solid running back one. You know, they're playing probably most of the snaps went to Pacheco Week 1, but like still he didn't run for anything crazy. And Jerick McKinnon mainly catches the ball, even though he's running back. And they were even putting in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, wasting their time with him. But you know, they keep rotating these running backs, and they just can't figure it out. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not too low on them. They're the Chiefs, and they have Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. So I think that they're gonna win their division pretty easily this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily see them going to the Super Bowl. I don't see them being one of the most dominant teams right now. But yeah, that's why they're my number 4.
All right, my number 3. It kind of hurts to do this to me, but I have the Eagles at number 3. Based off Week 1 performance, I don't think they should be at number 3, but they are the Philadelphia Eagles. They do have a really good roster this year. Only question is like, can Jalen Hurts step up because he didn't look that good in Week 1, but I think he will. So yeah, the Eagles I have number 3.
All right, so my number 3 got the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
So, despite their Week 1 dominance, they play the Eagles twice. Will they be able to win against the Eagles twice this year? Maybe they'll split games. I don't think so.
At least split games.
I see Jalen Hurts stepping up a lot more when the season comes on. I think it was a Week 1 fluke. Dak is mid. He's like, when was the last time he had like a spectacular game? I can't even tell you.
I would probably say the playoff game versus the Buccaneers, so 3 games ago.
Well, anyway, I don't know. I'm high on them, even though I don't like them, but they got to go three for me.
Well, do you think that the Eagles are gonna sweep the Cowboys this year? Or do you think they split? Or do you think the Cowboys split?
I think they split. I think they're 1-1 this year against the Cowboys.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I just want to make sure you're like not delusional. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think we sweep you guys, especially because like looking at the time frame we play you guys, we play Dallas. We play Dallas, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Dallas. So like that's 5 games of, top 10 NFL teams that we're playing, top 5 NFL teams.
Let me see when we play you what their schedule around it is. So we have, let's see, 49ers, Chargers, Rams, Eagles, and then we have Giants, Panthers. We have another stretch. We have another stretch where it's Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions.
So that's gonna be rough for you guys. But I mean, we played the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Niners. So
yeah, we played the Chargers instead of the Chiefs. So
okay, all right. So
number 2.
Anyway, on to number 2.
My number 2 is the Cowboys.
Okay.
You got to give it to them. They shut out an NFL team. That's pretty hard to do. You only get like 1 or 2 of those every single year, and their defense look great. Now the only problem is like, okay, can the defense look good against a team that isn't led by Daniel Jones? We'll see. So,
all right. So my number 2, you got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, I think
obviously not an impressive Week 1 performance for them. I think that going on, they're going to be a lot better. I think they're going to figure it out, even though Gainwell's not playing Week 2, or didn't play Week 2. Anyway, I think they still have, they have DeAndre Swift as a running back too, who was a great running back, and even Rashad Penny had 3. They got plenty of receivers. Jalen Hurts is great. What else you got to say about these guys? I think I see them winning the division this year again.
Jalen Hurts is all right, I guess. I don't know.
Break the NFC East curse.
It's not happening. I'm sorry.
And yeah, so Eagles are number 2 for me, and I think we probably have the same number 1. So let's talk about that at the same time.
San Francisco 49ers.
San Francisco 49ers, number 1.
I mean,
I think they're clearly the most dominant team in the
NFL
right now, at least Week 1. Yeah. We'll see how they do Week 2.
It's crazy. If they had like literally like a top 10 quarterback for like the past 5 years, they could have won like 3 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? They have such a stacked team. the only part, and it's kind of the reason they can have this stack team is because they aren't paying their quarterback $200 million a year and stuff like that.
Hmm.
The Nick Bosa deal is probably going to hurt them later, but I think they're kind of in a win now mode because of how good of a team they have. Their defense is stacked. Their offense is stacked. Like Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, defense. You got Fred Warner and like all these other dudes. Nick Bosa, the reigning defensive player of the year. I mean, this team is just so stacked, and the only reason why they can't get over the hump is because of the quarterback play. So we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. That's about all we have for this week, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Probably come back week 2 with basically the same thing.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll spice it up. I don't know, but yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah,
See
go
you guys
Birds.
later.